I am an athlete. I am a student. I am a Chicano. I am Angel Rodriguez. I was born in Sun Valley, raised in Sylmar, Pacoima, Granada Hills, San Diego, and presently Winnetka. As a Chicano, I had to learn how to adapt to my surroundings, whether I was comfortable or not. My first priority was to learn English. Having Spanish as my first language made it that much more difficult to communicate and adapt. Whether it be my peers or people I see in the streets, they would say something I'm not. As a child, in my head, I would want to prove to them of who and what I am. Hearing all the mistaken identities, like being called an Arabic or a Muslim, made me chuckle, because I know who I am. But my family moving so frequently and meeting rude people, I had to mature quickly to defend myself, not physically, but mentally.
Medicine man, yeah. Oh.
Haha! Not. This is what I learned.
A group of Mexican Americans gathered to remind the United States of a long-forgotten promise. Calling themselves the Alianza, the Alliance, they met and claimed this federal land as their own, guaranteed by a treaty signed between the United States and Mexico. They arrested 2 United States forest rangers for trespassing.
We're taking full responsibility. The town of San Joaquin. Just a second. Yes, I know your laws already. We've been citizens of the United States for 120 years, and we know the law. We're taking this upon our shoulders in the name of the town of San Joaquin del Rio de Chama.
Ultimately, it was the leader of the Alianza who was arrested, Reyes Lopez Tijerina. But he planned to use that trial to argue that, according to a treaty signed by the United States, the people of northern New Mexico legitimately owned the land. At one time, the land in New Mexico, along with California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Texas, and parts of Colorado and Wyoming, belonged to Mexico. In 1846, the United States declared war on Mexico. 2 years later, the war was over, and Mexico had lost half its territory. Overnight, 100,000 Mexicans became foreigners on soil that had belonged to their families for generations.
Corky was a hell of an organizer, you know. I mean, this is a guy who was really making things happen in Denver. I mean, there was a full-fledged community organization that was very sophisticated for its time, operating out of Denver, Colorado. And it was all centered around this guy called Corky Gonzalez, you know, who was one of us.
Corky Gonzalez would soon gain national attention for Chicanos.
We spend in the so-called war on poverty in America only about $53 for each person classified as poor.
Dr. Martin Luther King had made great strides obtaining civil rights for black people. Now, he wanted to address poverty with a multiracial coalition. King was planning a poor people's campaign in Washington, D.C. during the spring of 1968. He hoped to unite Americans of all colors under one banner to join in a common fight against poverty. Dr. King invited Corky Gonzalez and Reyes Tijerina to be part of that coalition. Only a few weeks before the campaign took place, King was assassinated.
Where are we going? We're going to try to fulfill Dr. Martin Luther King's dream. And if we Mexican Americans march to Washington, it is to tell this country that poverty is not a Negro problem. Poverty is a Mexican American. Poverty is an American Indian. Poverty is a Puerto Rican. Poverty is an Appalachian problem.